Have you ever wondered what it's really like to rent an Airbnb or a VRBO? In this video, I'm going to tell you my story when I rented a house in the Blue Ridge Mountains and another in St. Augustine, Florida. These were two very different properties and two very different experiences. Plus, I'll give you some practical pointers you should know before you book a vacation home. If that sounds interesting, please keep watching. Hello everyone, I hope you're having a splendid day, and if you're new here, welcome. Be sure to hit that subscribe button if you like my content. This is a little sneak peek of some merch I have coming up. It's not available yet, but it will be. There's this mug and the two pillows behind me, but I'll get into that in a future video, but I just wanted to give you an advanced look. My husband and I recently escaped the Florida heat and headed up to Hiawassee, Georgia. We rented a beautiful house there at the top of a mountain, and it had incredible views. And on the way back, we spent a few days in St. Augustine. This was a historic cottage on the water, also with great views. And in both cases, we rented private homes through VRBO. With that intro out of the way, let's dive in. VRBO stands for Vacation Rental by Owner, and it is very similar to Airbnb. The only difference is that through VRBO, you can rent entire homes, and through Airbnb, you can rent entire homes or a room in someone's house. We've rented many Airbnbs and VRBOs, and the experience is very similar. You go to the site and you search for a space that meets your criteria. You enter the number of guests, and you can search by any specific amenities you might want. For example, you may want a home with a private pool. I'm going to tell you about our experience with the mountain retreat in Hiawassee, Georgia first. Hiawassee is about 2 hours north of Atlanta. So how did I find this house? Well, I went to the VRBO website and I searched for homes in the Blue Ridge Mountains. At the time, I wasn't sure where in the Blue Ridge Mountains we wanted to stay. My search criteria was that it had to have at least 2 bedrooms and it had to allow pets. One of the main reasons we book Airbnbs or VRBOs is because many of the homes allow dogs, but you have to read the details carefully because many only allow dogs under 50 pounds. As I was looking at houses, I ruled several out pretty quickly. One of the other things I was looking for in a vacation rental home was strong Wi-Fi because my husband and I were both planning to work remotely. And we wanted total privacy, no neighbors around so that our dogs could run free. Oh, and one other thing, we also wanted to be very close to shops and restaurants. I finally found one that looked very promising, and this is what the description said. Luxurious, private, and secure, this gated mountaintop cabin is situated 13 miles from Helen and 6 miles from Hiawassee in the Chattahoochee National Forest. The amazing views of the surrounding peaks are among the very best in Georgia. We have speedy internet for streaming and Wi-Fi. This is a very secluded setting, ensuring you won't have to look into someone else's windows, and they won't be looking into yours. Yet it is less than 10 minutes to groceries, shopping, restaurants, a hospital, and many attractions. I then noticed that the owners of the house were VRBO premier hosts, and this means that they consistently deliver excellent experiences to guests. If you are renting a home through VRBO, it is a good idea to see if the owners are premier hosts. So then I went to the reviews and I read most of them. This is extremely important if you're renting an Airbnb or a VRBO. Read the reviews. The sites only allow actual visitors to the property to leave feedback, and you'll learn a lot by reading these. I liked everything I read on this listing, but then I noticed that they only allowed dogs under 50 pounds, and one of our dogs is 70 pounds. So I emailed the owners to ask if they would make an exception. This is really important when renting an Airbnb or a VRBO. If you have any questions, you can message the owners and get answers to your questions before making the reservation. And in my case, they said it was fine. They would be happy to have both of our dogs. The published rate for this property was right around $250 per night, but that was the rate that I saw on the listing. You have to keep in mind that there may be other fees such as cleaning fees, security deposits, and pet fees. So don't make a reservation until you know your total cost. So we decided to book this beautiful mountain retreat, and it was right around $5,000 all in. Oh, Airbnb and VRBO sometimes do have discounts for longer stays. So we were all set, and a day before our getaway, I received instructions on how to open their driveway gate and the front door. I messaged the owners as soon as we got to the house, and they responded right away. This was through the app. They told us to have a great getaway and to send them any questions that we may have during our stay. They were very nice and responsive. The house was absolutely perfect, exactly as described on the listing. The property was beautiful with breathtaking mountain views. The home had everything we needed. Vacation rental homes are typically stocked with all the essentials: dishes, silverware, glasses, hair dryers, etc. But they're not all equal. Some will be stocked with toiletries, for example. Others won't. It can vary. If you want to know what's included, be sure to check the amenities tab on VRBO. Inside, they had a binder welcoming us to the property, and it gave us all kinds of information. It gave us the Wi-Fi password, explained how to turn on the fireplace, how to work the television, how to set the thermostat, and so on. They also recommended local restaurants and activities. It was very thorough. The home was decorated nicely. It was very comfortable and cozy, and the home was spotless when we arrived. The book also had the house rules, and owners can set their own guidelines. You can find the house rules on the VRBO website listing. And for this house, for example, we were asked not to have any parties or to have any fires, although we could use the gas fireplace. We loved our time at their home. It was so relaxing and nice to experience a house completely different from ours in Florida. We particularly loved watching the fireflies at night, having a fire in the fireplace, and enjoying the hot tub. It was really the perfect stay. I've always been more of a beach person, but this getaway made me fall in love with the mountains. Before we departed, the owners had given us a small to-do list, and this was in the binder. We were asked to strip the beds and to bring all the sheets and dirty towels to the laundry room. We were also asked to load the dishwasher with any dirty dishes and to start the dishwasher. And we were asked to take out the garbage and to set the AC to a particular temperature. It wasn't too complicated, and we were happy to do it. This sort of thing varies from listing to listing. We stayed in an Airbnb recently where the host specifically said not to do anything when we departed. They said, "This is your vacation, so let us take care of everything." That was very nice, but the things that the owners of the mountain house asked us to do were not difficult, and we were happy to comply. We had one small snag with the owners, and that is that they had heard that we had people at the house. My sister and my niece were visiting for a few days, and we thought this was pretty normal. It was a 3-bedroom house that could sleep 6, and we rented it for 3 weeks, and they had our credit card and security deposit. So we really didn't think that we needed to let them know that we were having people stay there. So if you are renting a vacation home, you may want to let the owners know if you are planning to have other people stay over. In this case, the owners were very nice and understanding, and their main concern was the septic tank. They didn't want a whole big group of people staying there because that could affect the septic tank. But other than that one small issue, I would give this stay 5 out of 5 stars. The owners were obviously very experienced because the house was stocked with absolutely everything we needed. The binder answered all of our questions, so we never even had to contact the owners, even though we were at their home for 3 weeks. We would happily stay there again, and I will put the link to the listing on VRBO in the description box in case you want to check it out. Now let's move on to St. Augustine. I was really excited about this trip because even though I have lived in South Florida for many years, I have never been to St. Augustine. St. Augustine is located about 40 minutes south of Jacksonville. Now, once I saw this particular listing on VRBO, I knew I had to check it out. Boathouse Cottage in the Historic District. Our beautifully renovated Boathouse Carriage House is located on direct waterfront with ocean views of the inlet. It's between 2 national shrines within a 10-minute walk. Located at the water's edge, this extraordinary 1920s home once served as a working boathouse, and while its charm still remains, the newly updated accommodations feature all the comforts of home. Along with the fantastic Florida room, you'll find a delightful screened-in porch that will have you kicking back to sip a cool beverage as you enjoy the parade of seagoing vessels that pass along your view of the waterway throughout the day. It is truly the majesty of waking to this spectacular sunrise and closing the day bathed in the glow of the afternoon sunset that will have you know that you have chosen the ideal location for your getaway to St. Augustine. So that sounds pretty awesome, right? And again, the owners were premier hosts on VRBO. The reviews were very good, so I booked it, and all in it was about $600 a night with all of the added fees. A little bit expensive, but we were only going to be there for 2 nights, so we thought we would treat ourselves. I wanted to be on the water and also within walking distance to restaurants and shops. And when else are you going to get a chance to stay in a renovated 1920s boathouse? The day before we arrived, once again, I received instructions on how to get into the property. And once we got there, I messaged the owner to let him know that we were there, but I never heard back. We actually never heard a word from the owner. We didn't need anything, but a welcome message would have been nice. Thankfully, we didn't have any issues because I don't know if the owner would have responded. I actually had to message him about one other thing, but again, I never heard back. But it wasn't a big deal. The cottage was charming and I loved the nautical decor. The home had a kitchen, a dining room, and a living room. Plus, it had 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. And there was a screened-in Florida room where you could sit and watch the water. The home looked like it had been professionally cleaned, but probably a few days before we arrived. There were a few dead bugs in 2 of the sinks, but the home was very clean. I'm almost positive the bugs were there because they had cleaned several days before we arrived, and they didn't do a quick check before we got there. Not a big deal, but I could see how some guests might not be cool with that, especially at such a high price point. But like I said, it didn't bother us and we didn't complain. A couple other differences with this home from the mountain retreat. They had very high-end toiletries in the bathrooms, but many were like half empty, so it felt a little weird. In the mountain home, they gave us new travel-sized toiletries. Also, this cottage had Ralph Lauren towels, high-end, but they looked a little worn. In the mountain house, they had plain white towels that looked like hotel quality. Not a big issue, but worth noting. Also, there was no welcome guidebook giving us information on things like how to work the TV or the thermostat. There was a sign with the Wi-Fi password and pamphlets from local businesses, and that was it. It was all we needed. We didn't end up having any issues because we were only there for a couple days, but the welcome book was a nice touch in the mountain home. Overall, we were very happy with the house. It was comfortable, and I thought the home was thoughtfully decorated and perfect for a seaside cottage. But now let's talk about the best part of this vacation home, and that is the view. This vacation home not only had spectacular sea views, but it also had its own pier. The private pier is exclusively for people staying in the house. We had such a good time walking down to the floating dock to watch the boats and look for dolphins. And we could see the monument next door, very impressive. It was a fantastic location, and it was only a 5-minute walk to lots of shops, bars, and restaurants. Because there was no guidebook, there were no rules on what to do when we left. So we just put the dirty towels in the tub and we started the dishwasher. I would give this stay 4 out of 5 stars. The setting was incredible, and I thought the cottage was charming. Oh, we did look up this house, and it was valued at about $1.5 million. So that's another great reason to book vacation homes. You can stay in homes that you might not necessarily get to otherwise because some of them are really pricey. Would I stay here again? Probably not. It didn't have a fenced yard for the dogs, and it was pretty expensive. But I did appreciate our time there, and I will put this listing in the description box in case you're interested in it. So let's quickly review my top tips if you are thinking about renting a home through Airbnb or VRBO. First, read the listing carefully. Ask the owners any questions before you book. Don't assume. Read all the reviews. Look for an experienced host. And don't book until you know all the add-on costs like cleaning fees. Oh, and finally, be sure to check the cancellation policy. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and I'd also like to invite you to subscribe. I do all kinds of travel videos, and I would love it if you would join my traveling party. Have you ever rented a vacation home? If so, leave me a comment. I would love to hear about your experience. If you'd like to talk travel with me just a little bit longer, I will link 2 videos at the end that I think you might like. The video on the left is all about a beachfront bargain in Jupiter, Florida, where you can see sea turtles. And the video on the right is when I stayed at a Fort Lauderdale hotel shaped like a cruise ship that has live mermaid shows. Until next time, I hope you have safe and happy travels. I appreciate you and thank you so much for watching. Bye!